I am Eldred's fake wife hired by him, but unexpectedly got pregnant with his child. He hired me to help him get rid of those unwanted women, but now I've become the one who should be disposed of the most. I'm terrified, feeling like the 500,000 monthly allowance is waving goodbye to me. I gritted my teeth and resorted to the delaying tactic. Honey, I need to go on a 10-month business trip. Taking a leave. I packed my bags overnight and went abroad to have the baby. 3 days later, he caught me red-handed during a prenatal checkup at the OBGYN. Eldred took away the ultrasound report and smiled at me. Darling, getting pregnant is a breach of contract. Have you thought about how you'll compensate me? Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. I'm a penniless wretch. How poor am I? You ask. My monthly living expenses in college were only 200 yuan, thanks to the survival tips shared by many netizens. Instant noodle cakes, seasoning packets, and 2 yuan bottles of vitamins. I managed to survive. I endured this tough life for a full 2 years, until I met Eldred. I suddenly went from being broke to having unlimited spending power with my bank card. In my life, the first person I'm grateful for is my mom. The second person I'm grateful for is him. My mom's sacrifices for me were unconditional. Eldred had only one requirement for my devotion: behave. Clearly, this was easy to fulfill. He married me to ward off unwanted admirers. And I'm someone who cares only about money. I would never entertain any improper thoughts about him. Our marriage was in name only. Every time we met, we'd have a meal and then return to our separate rooms. There wasn't even the slightest physical contact. He is very satisfied with me, and I am very satisfied with the balance in my account. I thought the two of us would always be in harmony. But now, something terrible has happened. There is a hand on my waist. Slender fingers, with distinct knuckles. Not mine. I'm very pale, and my skin marks easily. Just a little pressure leaves marks on me. My gaze slowly moved upward from the waist. Fingerprints. Hickeys. All the way up. Damn it. How did he manage to bite through my skin? I looked up at the ceiling. Last night's chaotic memories started attacking me. All of it was content that wouldn't pass censorship. Faintly, I remember someone whispering while nibbling my earlobe. Good girl. It's terrible. Really terrible. I turned to look at the man holding me. I've seen him asleep before. Always with furrowed brows. Never at peace even in sleep. Today, his brows were relaxed. The corners of his lips slightly upturned. You can tell he's in a good mood. But I'm not in a good mood. Because this man is my husband in name only. Eldred. Oh. Now it's official in both name and reality. Before Eldred and I got married, we set 3 ground rules. I would shield him from romantic distractions. And he would give me money. As a member of the opposite sex, I was clearly included in this category of romantic distractions. My marriage is hanging by a thread at this moment. Fortunately, last night Eldred got drunker than I did, and might wake up with no memory of it. If he wakes up and doesn't see me, he might mistake me for someone else. At worst, I'll just be accused of incompetence and docked 2 months' salary as a token punishment. If he finds out it was me last night, the pink banknotes are waving goodbye to me. I shuddered. No way. Absolutely not. I tumbled out of bed in a panic. Just as I landed, my legs gave way and I nearly fell to the ground. My stomach feels so bloated. But there's no time left. If we delay any longer, it'll be over when he wakes up. I grabbed my clothes and hurriedly left the hotel. Once inside the elevator, I let out a long sigh of relief. Escape successful. Heavens. God. Buddha. Almighty Lord. Please bless me and make Eldred forget what happened last night. Spirits of heaven and earth. Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva. Show your power quickly. After praying to all the deities, I rubbed my bloated stomach. Sigh. Remember to buy some medicine later. I went to the front desk and checked into an empty room. The new clothes I bought hadn't arrived yet. Eldred's call came through. Where are you? Only 10 minutes had passed since I left his room. Thank goodness. Thank goodness I acted quickly. I played dumb. I'm in the room next to yours. What's up? Eldred said coldly. Get over here. I pondered his meaning. Had he found out or not? I grabbed a jacket and scurried over sheepishly. And then, the scene before me was slightly different from what I had imagined. Eldred sat on the sofa, lightly tapping his fingers on the armrest. He casually wore a robe, the high-quality silk draping perfectly to outline his figure. Eldred didn't fasten the ties of his pajamas. The collar hung open, revealing a broad expanse of toned chest, with a glimpse of abdominal muscles peeking through. Tooth marks, scratches, and sucked red marks were scattered everywhere, finally concealed by clothing. It's hard not to fantasize about the scenery beneath the clothes. Oh my God, I'm eating so well. Eldred, this face, this figure, and not even the highest level male models can compare. No, no, no. I'm his wife. I can't have designs on him. I'd still choose between men and money. But it's not illegal to just take a look, right? My eyes darted around uncontrollably, and I swallowed hard without realizing it. How could something so delicious be a one-time only treat? He gave a half-smile. Wife. Seen enough. I murmured. Want to see somewhere else? He raised an eyebrow. Want to see? I jolted back to my senses. No. I didn't want to see that at all. I was just worried if you got hurt. Damn it. Who did this to you? My dear. Was it her? I pointed directly at the other person in the room. This was something I hadn't anticipated before coming here. Eldred, there was actually an extra woman in the room. Moreover, the woman truly looked as if she had been thoroughly cherished. She knelt on the carpet, completely drained of energy. Her cheeks were flushed pink, and her eyes brimmed with spring-like tenderness. At this moment, she lifted her head, carelessly revealing her slender neck and the hickey marks upon it. Mr. Fabian. Mrs. Fabian. Her voice was delicate and pitiful, evoking sympathy. Before she could speak, tears began to fall. A glistening teardrop slid from the corner of her eye. Who wouldn't feel heartache seeing a beauty shed tears? Eldred felt no heartache. He completely ignored the weeping beauty, his gaze firmly fixed on me. Honey, what do you think? What can I say? I shouldn't be in the car. I should be under it. I cautiously replied. There's still a spare room at home. Should I ask the butler to tidy it up? Thud. Eldred forcefully struck the armrest of the sofa. He relaxed his body, leaned back against the cushion, and beckoned to me with slightly narrowed eyes. Oh no. Why is he angry? I stepped over the people on the ground, shuffling and shuffling, until I reached Eldred's side. I thought he intended to speak with me. Unexpectedly, his long arm hooked around me, and I crashed straight into his embrace. Ha! He has pectoral muscles. I really want to bury my face in them. No. I need to have self-control. I rubbed my nose and looked up. Honey. Eldred placed a hand on my back, gently stroking it with an almost imperceptible touch. I froze under the touch. Damn. This feels way too much like soothing a pig before slaughter. Yuck. 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 I'm not a pig. He grabbed my chin and locked eyes with me. Eldred's voice was soft and slow, eerily reminiscent of lovers whispering sweet nothings. I'd like to ask, what was my wife doing last night? Ha. Yeah, it was me last night. So who's the woman on the ground? My memory can't be wrong. My stomach still feels uncomfortably bloated. That means someone is impersonating you. I got serious. I'm sorry. Honey, I didn't take good care of you last night. Punish me if you must. I'll handle her properly. So don't worry. I don't know if it's just my imagination. I couldn't shake the feeling Eldred had a mocking glint in his eyes. His mood improved considerably. Eldred bent down, and I thought he was going to let go of me. Who would have expected an unexpected kiss to land on my forehead? Eldred squeezed my palm. I'll punish you when we get home. The sudden kiss caught me off guard. Only when I glimpsed the person on the ground out of the corner of my eye did I suddenly understand. He must have wanted to make others back off. I understand. I was thinking about how to drive that woman away. Eldred interrupted my thoughts. He picked me up in his arms. Me? What are you doing? He lowered his gaze. Going home. I pointed at the person silently crying in the room. What about her? Eldred said in a dangerous tone. What? Feeling sorry for her again. Oh, come on. That's not fair to say. She's so beautiful. Who wouldn't feel heartbroken seeing her cry? Eldred smiled. No matter how heartbroken. This month's allowance is gone. Damn it. No more heartache. I feel sorry for myself. After Eldred took me home, I always felt like I'd forgotten something, but I really can't remember what it was. The day before, we attended a charity banquet. Those who know. You can't really eat much at such events. After working through the night, this morning I was running around, going back and forth. The physical exertion was so intense I was starving, my stomach sticking to my back. As soon as I got home and saw the butler had prepared a full table of breakfast, I happily pounced on it. Steamed buns. I ate them. I eat fried dough sticks. I eat egg pancakes. I eat and eat and eat. He sits beside me, leisurely eating his bacon and egg toast. I held up the half-eaten bun, mumbling with my mouth full. Want one? It's really good. There's one more on the table. If he doesn't want it, I'll eat it all myself. Eldred gave a and suddenly leaned in close to me. Before I could react, he took a bite from the bun I'd been eating. Me? He nodded in agreement. It really is delicious. I was extremely conflicted. After hesitating for a long while, I couldn't hold back anymore. Honey, are you having financial difficulties lately? Do I need to be more frugal? Eldred puzzled. Can't we even afford one bun each now? He's actually reduced to fighting me for a bun. This is terrible. Eldred laughed in exasperation. Don't worry. I can afford to keep you. I spent a month in constant fear, terrified that Eldred would go bankrupt. I prayed devoutly every day for his business to prosper. Fortunately, Eldred was telling the truth that day. His financial situation is quite healthy. I felt relieved, but my relief lasted less than 2 days before another thing hit me. My period didn't come. The last time I had irregular periods was when I was extremely poor. Since becoming financially stable, I've placed great importance on my health, and after some time of careful self-care, I restored my body to a healthy state. Since then, my menstrual cycle has become extremely regular. It arrives precisely when it's supposed to, but this time, it's already been delayed for a week. It was also at this moment that I finally remembered what I had forgotten that day. I forgot to take the birth control pill. How can someone be so stupid? My heart was ashen as I went to the hospital, registering at the gynecology clinic. In the end, I returned home with a pregnancy test report in hand. Pale-faced, I sat on the sofa pondering life. No way. Absolutely not. If Eldred finds out about this, he'll definitely fire me. My 500,000. My money. There will surely be another woman to replace me as his wife in the future. The thought of someone snatching this perfect job from me makes my teeth itch with anger. I need to figure out a way. What should I do? I patted my belly. With no other options, I registered a brand new Zaya Hongshu account to post and ask, what should I do if I'm pregnant with my husband's child? In the post, I described in detail Eldred, this great boss, and how we both got drunk at the dinner party and ended up in an unexpected situation. Top reply: girl, a truly drunk man can't perform sexually. Your husband was definitely willing. Nested reply: LMAO. Forget willing. I suspect OP's husband has a crush on her and is frustrated she's so dense. Ha 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 ha, this is hilarious. The way OP describes it. Her husband kept coincidentally bumping into her and splurging money during her college days. And after marriage, he reports his whereabouts punctually like clockwork. Since when do bosses treat employees like this? Listen to me. OP. If you go back and tell your husband I love you, he'd give you his life. I pursed my lips. What the hell do they know? It's precisely because I'm low maintenance that Eldred hired me. Okay. Ours is nothing but a purely financial relationship. How dare you taint it with emotions? I skipped that floor to see who was giving me advice. I glanced around. Give birth. You're legally married. The child would be legitimate. If you divorce, even if he rejects you, could he really reject the child? I stroke my chin. That makes perfect sense. According to Eldred's wealth, the living expenses he'll provide for me and the baby should start at a six-figure amount at least. Besides, I don't want to abort him either. The feeling of being pregnant is magical. Another vibrant life is growing inside me. He is completely and utterly mine. If I decide to have the baby, a new problem arises. I see Eldred every day. There's no hiding it. Definitely can't stay by his side. I thought about it. Might as well go abroad. I fumbled around the room for my passport and started researching to choose a country. In the evening, Eldred came back and saw me curled up on the couch as if facing a formidable enemy. He asked, "What's wrong? Do you need my help?" Without looking up, I said, "Researching." What kind of research? I suddenly realized it was him. Turned off the tablet and felt a bit guilty. "Honey, you're back." He stared at me for several seconds. His gaze made my back prickle. Do I have something on my face? He didn't answer but instead asked me, "Do you have something to tell me today?" I shook my head. "No, nothing." He didn't press further but gave me a meaningful look. I felt a bit flustered. He's acting really strange. So I need to get out of here fast. The next day, while I was still asleep, Eldred finished breakfast and left for work. I sprang up from bed like a carp leaping out of water, ran to the balcony, and watched the car drive away until it disappeared from sight. I breathed a sigh of relief and started packing my suitcase. After packing everything, I hesitated for a moment before leaving. If a living person like me suddenly disappears, Eldred would definitely find it suspicious. If they thought I'd been kidnapped, that wouldn't be good. After some thought, I found a sticky note, tore off a piece, and stuck it on the headboard. "Hubby dear, I've got something going on recently. Going on a 10-month business trip. Okay. For double insurance." I left another note. "I'm not in trouble. No need to come looking for me. I'll come back on my own when it's over." Great. I pulled my luggage and left this house. Goodbye. Hubby dear. Your beloved wife is going to secretly have a baby behind your back. See you again in 10 months. First, you need to choose a hospital for childbirth. Of course. It's still early for that. It's only been 1 month of pregnancy, so there's no rush about delivery. The most important thing right now is to check how the baby is doing. The plane landed, and I spent the whole day adjusting to the time difference. The next day, my mind was blank, and I forgot to fast, so I had to sheepishly go back home. On the third day, I finally got the checkup. The report was full of technical terms I couldn't understand. Damn it. I kept pestering the doctor with all sorts of questions. Finally understood what all the test results meant, only to look down at my phone and receive a $3,000 bill. I stood at the hospital entrance, tilting my head at a 45-degree angle to gaze at the sky. People of various skin colors came and went around me. I clutched the ultrasound report, muttering to myself, "This is way too expensive. Let's go back to China to have the baby. Our baby's made of gold. So expensive. What for? Having a baby." I sighed. Ugh. The medical costs in this country are terrifying. I just asked a few questions. As soon as I said it, I suddenly realized something was off. Wait. That's not right. I'm in a foreign country. They don't speak Chinese. Who is it talking to me? I slowly turned my head, and what met my eyes was a face I had been looking at for 3 years. The newcomer was very proactive. So proactive that all I had left in my hands was a small bag and an ultrasound report. He took care of carrying everything else for me. Eldred glanced over the ultrasound report at lightning speed. I was stunned. Wait. How are you here? Eldred casually replied. Your phone has location tracking. Me? I was furious. You're spying on me. When did you secretly install this on me? Honey, I installed it right in front of you. Ha! I thought for a moment. Oh yeah, that's right. There was a minor incident before. Eldred installed a tracker on me. In short, I was kidnapped once, and the kidnappers demanded ransom from Eldred. Eldred paid it promptly and rescued me. Of course, the kidnappers were caught afterward. That day, Eldred scolded relentlessly, and in the end, he installed tracking devices on my phone, necklace, and other items I often carry. He doesn't usually check them, but if something happens to me, he can find me. It's been about a year. I forgot. But that's not the point. The point is, what are you doing here? Eldred finally looked up, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth as he deliberately slowed his speech. Were you on a 10-month business trip to have a baby? I panicked, stammering. Stupid brain. Think of an excuse quick. Eldred gently ruffled my hair, his voice incredibly tender. Darling, that wasn't part of our marriage agreement. The marriage agreement is a very simple document. The specific content is that I help him drive away living people who have romantic interest in him. He gives me money. The living people in the first clause include me. By the way, getting pregnant with my child secretly is a breach of contract. Eldred approached me with a smile. Based on my years of experience, I can tell he's in a very good mood right now. I'm already pregnant. I can't figure out why he's in such a good mood. His fingertip brushed across my cheek, sending a ticklish sensation, and finally came to rest on my lips. Baby, have you thought about how you're going to repay me? Me? Damn. Repay. And there's such a thing as a penalty fee. Although I can't recall the agreement details. Eldred is a ruthless capitalist who'd surely take every penny I've earned these 2 years. I can't afford to pay it back. My body knows me better than I do myself. My mouth runs ahead while my brain struggles to catch up. The moment my lips parted, out came, honey, listen to me. Actually, I cheated on you. The child isn't yours. I didn't break the contract. Don't make me pay compensation. Once I started, the nonsense just flowed effortlessly. Yes, exactly like that. You know, I'm a normal woman with physical desires. At 25, I'm at the peak of my vitality, so I've been keeping a few male college students. Each of them has abs. Not just abs, but pecs too. Perfect for burying my face in. And they're so obedient, calling me big sister in such pitiful voices. As I spoke, I nodded earnestly, completely lost in my own fantasy. College guy. Several college guys. Handsome college guys with pecs. Eldred didn't interrupt me, waiting until I finished before casually remarking, how many are you keeping? 3. Oh no. Make it 4. Raised 4. He laughed. That's quite the wishful thinking. Miss Hedda, have you ever thought about how much it costs to support 4 people for a month? Me? Damn. I forgot. Raising a man costs so much money. No way. I'm not doing it anymore. How can a man compare to money? I looked disheveled. Fine. Forget it then. Eldred flipped his wrist and grasped my hand. As I was wondering what he was up to, he took my hand and pressed it against his chest. The temperature rose in late spring. Eldred wasn't wearing much. Just a black shirt. Through the fabric, I felt a peculiar sensation beneath my palm. Eldred bent down and pulled me into his embrace. He deliberately lowered his voice by my ear. Irresistibly alluring. He actually said pitifully, Sis, I've got both abs and pecs. Wanna feel them? Ah, you're clearly older than me. Stop calling me that randomly. And no weird role-playing games either. Let's not get into the role-playing issue for now. The important thing is I got Eldred dragged back. He wasn't even angry when he shoved me into the back seat. Stop talking. He actually looked kind of happy. We're screwed. I quietly glance at the top of his head. An invisible green hat weighs down upon his head. Him. Happy. Never would have thought. Never would have thought. Eldred, you turned out to be a cuckold warrior, although the child is his. He doesn't know it. When I said I cheated. His smile grew even wider. Damn it. No wonder he insisted on getting married just to use me as a shield. Turns out he's into this kind of thing. I sighed. I thought he was a normal person. Eldred held my hand and asked, "How was the prenatal checkup today? Are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere?" Oh my God. He actually cared about the prenatal checkup. Lush green. So eco-friendly. I heaved a deep sigh again. Eldred frowned. Did the prenatal checkup show any problems? Leaning back in my chair, I murmured gloomily, "Darling, I think the one with problems might actually be you. You're quite enthusiastic about raising someone else's child." After saying this, the atmosphere in the car suddenly changed. I don't know exactly what changed, but something definitely did. Eldred unfastened his watch unhurriedly. The metal object landed on the soft leather with only the faintest, most subtle sound. Eldred propped himself beside me with one arm, trapping me in the small seat. The driver tactfully raised the partition between the front and rear compartments. Husband. I stared at his Adam's apple, so close at hand, and suddenly remembered its trembling frequency in the darkness of that night when he was overcome with passion. The sensual scene I thought I had long forgotten came rushing back to me, my ears burning. I turned my face away. If you have something to say it properly. Don't get so close. Close. My words were left unfinished as I widened my eyes in shock. Eldred grabbed the back of my head and pressed his lips against mine. Last time when I was drunk doesn't count. This was my first kiss while fully conscious. I stood there dumbfounded, letting him have his way, my face quickly turning red from holding my breath. Eldred stepped back slightly. Didn't you raise 4 college boys? Can't even kiss properly. Me? How dare you mock me? I stubbornly retorted. I can do it. I pounced on it like a dog gnawing. Eldred held the back of my head and said, "No rush. We'll learn together." Ha! Learn together. So you don't know how to do it either. Not wanting to be outdone, I tilted my head back and wrapped my arms around his waist. I clutched tightly at the hem of his clothes. By the time we reached our destination, my lips were red from his kisses, and my mind was utterly dazed. It was strange. I didn't understand how things had come to this. I looked at him. Eldred appeared as usual, seemingly without any issues, if you ignored the redness behind his ears. This time, I openly stared at him. After being watched for a while, Eldred coughed and asked, "Do you want to stay here for a couple of days or go home?" I squinted my eyes. "Will you stay and keep me company here?" His long fingers intertwined with mine, locking our hands together. Suddenly, I remembered the post I made before going abroad, where a highly upvoted comment in the thread said, "Eldred had a crush on me." Eldred helplessly ruffled my hair. "Or should I leave my pregnant wife alone abroad?" I muttered under my breath. "The child isn't yours either." From his perspective, it seemed so. Eldred, a remarkably generous cuckold. This time at the hotel, Eldred only booked 1 room, king-size bed. I lay on the bed playing with my phone. Eldred went into the bathroom to shower. I deliberately turned up the phone volume to drown out the sound of water. Ironically, the muffled sounds only made it more suggestive. I cover my ears, forcing myself not to think. The more I do this, the more chaotic my mind becomes. I can't focus on the funny videos on my phone at all. My mind is filled with nothing but colors. Waiting for Eldred to finish showering, I curl up under the blanket, blinking at him. He was wearing pajamas, with droplets of water not fully dried behind his ears, trickling down his chest and abs, disappearing into unseen places. Why are you bundled up like a ball? I said dryly. Afraid you might take advantage of me. And afraid I might not be able to control myself. Eldred sat by the bedside, leaning closer to me. He asked with a smile, "Why not take advantage?" My cheeks flushed red. It's just, can't say it. Won't pass the review. He seemed lost in thought. Then, he yanked off my blanket. Me? No. Don't. I failed to rescue the blanket and was pulled into his arms. The hotel shower gel has a sweet orange scent. Fresh out of the shower. Eldred smells like oranges all over. Fortunately, he didn't do anything but laid me down and lay beside me, resting my head on his arm. I could hear his heartbeat. So close at hand. Eldred patted my head and turned off the light. Behave yourself while pregnant. The room was plunged into darkness. Only moonlight filtered through the gauze curtains, casting a hazy glow. I shifted slightly, adjusting to the sudden darkness before tilting my head up to see his face clearly. Eldred happened to be looking down at the same time. As our eyes met, my heart in my chest disobeyed me, pounding wildly. I hurriedly closed my eyes. Good night, hubby. Good night now, or something bad might happen. Eldred lightly hummed and replied, "Good night." Eldred said they'd accompany me for a couple of days abroad. In April, Central Park is covered in cherry blossoms like snow. Fortunately, it was a weekday, with just the right number of people. Not too many, not too few. A few squirrels poked their heads out, frolicking on the grass dotted with purple flowers. I watched for quite a while, snapping photos of it enthusiastically. Eldred waited for me nearby. The sound of a guitar being plucked came from afar, just as the little squirrels climbed up the tree and disappeared into the sea of cherry blossoms. I and Eldred turned to look in the direction of the sound. By the riverside, someone was strumming an old guitar and humming a song in 4/4 time. The music, amplified by the microphone, carried far into the distance. I stopped in front of him, listening to his singing, and halfway through asked Eldred, "What language is he singing in?" Eldred shook his head. "A minority language. I can't tell." I sat on the grass and applauded when the song ended. Suddenly, I remembered that several years ago, Eldred and I had also listened to someone singing like this. Back then, I was still in college, and there were so many talented people on campus. After dusk, on the grassy field of the playground, someone would bring their own speakers to sing. The singing voice circled around the entire playground again and again. The audience sat around him in a circle, even offering song requests. That day Eldred came to the school for some business, and by the time he finished, it was already mealtime. I happened to see him as I was rushing to the cafeteria after class. I stopped in my tracks and greeted him. "Mr. Eldred, you're at the school too." At that time, our relationship was purely platonic, a bit more pure than now. He was the benefactor, and I was the poor student he sponsored. I'm very grateful to him. Eldred saw me and said something to the teacher who was seeing him off. The teacher nodded and left. I trotted up to him and stopped, looking up at him. "Would you like to have a meal together? I just got a scholarship," he said. "Okay." He also graduated from our school, so he was very familiar with the campus. I asked him what he wanted to eat, and he mentioned pork belly with chicken. My eyes lit up. I also love the pork belly with chicken at the First Canteen. Their owner is super nice. Eldred tilted his head, his gaze gentle. Seems we have similar tastes. It was also late spring then, and the dusk still lingered after the meal. Eldred seemed to have no intention of leaving, so I took the hint. "Want to tour the campus?" We strolled along a little used path behind the first cafeteria all the way to the sports field. The school's sports field also had cherry blossom trees planted nearby, though these were pink, both domestically and abroad. The cherry blossoms in the two cities bloomed with a brief overlap in timing. In April, the night breeze and the morning breeze blew by in turn. The pink cherry blossoms fell upon 20-year-old Hedda's shoulders, while the white blossoms covered 25-year-old Hedda from head to toe. Both times, Eldred was by my side, That night, the classmate singing on the sports field was an anime fan, sweetly singing Renee's Circulation. I chatted with Eldred all the way, but now we ran out of topics. To ease the awkwardness, I asked Eldred, "Do you understand what the lyrics mean?" The lights were too dazzling. I couldn't see his face clearly under them, only hearing his voice blending with the song. "My heart will fall deeper and deeper for you." Even though I knew it was just song lyrics, I still felt a bit awkward. I shouldn't have asked in the first place. As I was trying to recover from the awkwardness, I heard him ask, "Hedda, would you marry me?" I was stunned for a moment. "Ha! My name is actually in these lyrics." Eldred looked at me seriously. "No. I'm asking you." I didn't see Eldred off, fleeing in panic. I simply couldn't figure out what he meant. I tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep, yet didn't dare to ask him. 2 days later, he explained to me that he needed a wife to help ward off unwanted romantic advances, asking if I'd be willing. Just a nominal wife, nothing more. Originally, I didn't want to agree, but he offered way too much. Woo-woo. I shamelessly agreed and got the marriage certificate with him. At first, I was quite worried, afraid he might be tricking me into marriage. Later, I figured, I'm broke and have nothing to lose. What's there to trick? If it's about deceiving for physical intimacy, well, that can only be called mutual benefit. But all worries are insignificant. Nothing happened. We got along peacefully until the last accident occurred. In the songs of a foreign land, I inexplicably asked Eldred, "Do you like me?" Eldred turned his head at my words, gazing at me with his usual quiet eyes. His silence made me nervous. Damn it. One moment of bravery led to a lifetime of introversion. Hedda, don't be so presumptuous next time. Then the next second, Eldred bent down and kissed me. I instinctively wrapped my arms around his neck to match his movements. I was kissed until my legs went weak. Leaning into his chest, I heard him reply, "I've liked you for many years. You only just noticed." Can't blame me for that. Who can blame me when Eldred is such an incredibly amazing boss? A sensible employee would nip any behavior that might affect work in the bud. Sometimes, I do feel like he genuinely likes me. But then again, one shouldn't assume affection where none exists. Just in case. What if he's just being nice to everyone like a central air conditioner? When the time comes, I'll be left with neither love nor money, with nowhere to cry. It's his own fault for not speaking up. He doesn't have to worry about losing money. Eldred lowered his eyes. "I'm afraid of losing you." Ah, what a thing to say. I eagerly replied, "I won't leave unless you go bankrupt." He looked at me thoughtfully. "Is that so?" I nodded like pounding garlic. Yes. I'm terrified of poverty. So I really love money," Eldred suddenly said. "But several rich kids confessed to you in sophomore year, and you turned them down." Me? Ha! That's not my problem. I was notoriously known as the poor student in school. So poor that the jingling of my empty pockets annoyed those young masters' ears. Back then, my love for money was still somewhat restrained. To outsiders, I probably appeared as a resilient little white flower. Someone got bored and decided to chase me for fun. Logically speaking, if a rich second-generation heir chased me and offered money, I should agree. But, the first person who pursued me was downright ugly. Even a turtle fished out of a pond had bigger eyes than his. His face was covered in greasy, bulging flesh. You'd think a pig had escaped from the pen if you didn't know better. To make matters worse, that guy stopped me on my way back to the dorm. Under the streetlight, he took a pretentious drag of his cigarette and blew the smoke right into my face. Then, as if doing me a favor, he confessed his feelings to me. I asked him very seriously at the time, "Bro, did I break some divine law? Why are you punishing me like this?" He probably didn't react immediately. "What punishment?" "Punishing you for loving me." I couldn't bear to listen anymore and scrambled away in a panic. Too terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. I don't want to worship money anymore. Whoever loves to worship money can go ahead. But I can't do it. Later. That rich kid boasted arrogantly. Hedda, if even I can't chase her, I don't believe anyone can. I don't know where his confidence came from. But in any case, his gang of friends all joined in and even started a betting pool. I bet $200 on. No one can catch her. Unfortunately, others at the school also had an idea about this group. So the odds were very low. In the end, I made $250. For that $250, I was harassed for a whole 6 months. It's practically my tale of blood and tears. Facing Eldred's question, I looked up at the sky and sighed. Probably because you're a normal person. If even one person in that group had a sane mind, I would have agreed. Fortunately, they're just mentally questionable, not legally problematic. Aside from being a bit annoying like flies, it's not a major issue. Later on, I met Eldred, and I was so moved. Finally, a normal person. Not just normal, but also handsome. Too perfect. Wait a minute. Eldred doesn't seem normal either. I quite like Eldred. Without the worry of losing money, I discovered all his virtues. Gentle, handsome, wealthy, generous. And he even likes me. Even the coldest heart would be moved. I'm not that cold. There's just one small problem. I'm curled up on the sofa eating an ice cream cone. It's early summer now, and the weather is gradually getting hotter. I really wanted to eat ice cream, so I bought myself an ice cream machine and crispy cones. Maybe it's a body type thing, but I don't show much pregnancy bump. You can tell I've gained weight when I take off my clothes, but nothing is visible when dressed. But Eldred treats me like a fragile porcelain doll, terrified I might get bumped or hurt. I observed for 2 days, then sincerely asked him, "Don't you think there's something off about you?" "What?" I pointed at myself. "I'm pregnant." He nodded. I point at him. "You've been especially nice to me these past couple days." Because I was very curious about how far Eldred's cuckold symptoms had progressed. I never told him the child was his. He's still very good to me. Deceiving him isn't the right thing to do. I plan to make it clear. "Actually, my child is yours. I didn't cheat on you." Eldred reached out and ruffled my hair. "I know." His 3 words left me speechless. I was full of question marks. "You know." Eldred sighed. "Baby, the hotel has surveillance. And I have a brain. What's more, I wasn't drunk that night." "Me?" "He wasn't drunk." Eldred recounted with familiarity. "You were the drunk one. I took you back to the hotel, and you clung to me while trying to take off my clothes, saying, 'We're already married. Why can't I touch you?' Humph. Man, tonight you won't escape my grasp." Clearly, this was very easy to accomplish. Eldred deliberately mimicked my tone and expression. He has a real talent for acting, capturing every nuance perfectly. I kept a straight face and shoved the half-eaten ice cream into his mouth. "All right. That's enough. No more talking. I know exactly how I come across." He lowered his gaze and gently touched my stomach. "I have my own selfish reasons too. I don't want our marriage to remain unchanged. So, never mind. No matter how I think about it, I'm the one who's gained." I stood on tiptoe and kissed him. "All right. Then let's change our marital status. I've never been in love before. Mr. Eldred, would you like to have a relationship with me?" He threw away the ice cream, but I tried to salvage it. I held onto the cone. The one I bought online before was still strawberry flavored, pink and sweet. I ate too slowly, and the vanilla ice cream gradually melted. So I sped up. But in the end, it still stuck to my hand. I looked down at my palm and unhappily pinched the cone's crispy edge. Eldred suddenly remembered not to waste food and tried to coax me into eating it. I absolutely refuse. I ran to the bathroom to wash my hands, then opened the fridge and grabbed another one. This time Eldred grabbed me by the back of my collar. "Enough. You're pregnant. You can't eat too much." What kind of person is this? Even eating ice cream is being controlled. The end.